Rumble, all that fun stuff. And wow, do we have a show for you guys today. I'm so excited to be talking with you guys about, honestly, Satan rearing his ugly head for the world to see. And I have a take on it that I think you might be surprised by. I think you will. But before we get into all that, I want to make sure that you guys do not forget, because this might be your first time watching Speechless. You might have never heard of me before. And I want to make sure that you guys do not miss a minute of the news that the lamestream media will not cover. So, to do that, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends, all that fun stuff. I'd appreciate it. Please, please, please do that. Let me know you guys are here in the comments. Let me know that you guys are here. Leave something down there and I'll bring it up on screen. We'll talk about it, whatever. But we have so much to talk about today. As I said, we're going to talk about the opening ceremony of the Olympics. What an absolute beauty that was, right? The entire opening ceremony, we're going to talk about that. There were some saving graces. We're going to talk about the biblical implications of that. Do not worry. We're going to even quote the Bible a little bit. We're going to read some scripture together. We're going to talk about Kamla Harris, the whore, Kamala. We're going to talk about her, the lies that the mainstream media is writing for her. Google omitting the entire fact that there was an assassination attempt against a former president. We're going to talk about J.D. Vance. Did he have sex with a couch? I know that sounds really crude and weird, and if you haven't heard that rumor, well, you're going to want to stick around to talk about whether or not J.D. Vance had sex with a couch. We're going to talk about that, a new segment. There's going to be a new surprise segment coming up later in the show, so make sure you guys stick around for that. And then we're going to get back to Dear Kevin, just like the Dear Abby articles, Dear Kevin, and I'm going to give the advice that I'm sure you guys were all craving. But I want to start off, like I always do, by reminding you guys to like, subscribe, share, comment, all that fun stuff. But I want to start off talking about something fascinating. We're going to talk about the culture. The culture. You know, for years, it has become commonplace to hate on a lot of things. Everybody will always say, I even see, and I'm live right now in the suburbs of Chicago. I will soon be living in Virginia. So stay tuned for that news update later. But I right now live in the suburbs of Chicago, and I see these signs around because we got all these woke people around here, and they have these signs. They say things like, hate has no home here. They say, hate has no home here. So beautiful. I'm going to fix that a little bit. Bring myself. There we go. Hate has no home here. But the thing is that these people, the ones that say hate has no home here, they'll have those things that say, like, in this household, we like queers and we believe in equity for the BIPOC people and blah, 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 blah. All that woke bullshit. Yeah. They got all those signs outside of their houses. And hate has no home here unless that hate is for the straight, white, Christian man. And now, during this entire live stream, we're going to talk about just how much the world hates the straight, white, Christian man. But before I get into all that, I want to be clear here. I don't want this entire show to be, oh, poor me, I'm a victim, poor me, everybody hates me. No, everybody hated me in high school too, and it wasn't because I was a straight white Christian man. It was because I would tell them the truth, and people didn't like that. So hate me. I don't give a shit. Go fuck yourself. But sit down, shut up, get your notepad out, and get ready. Because we're going to talk about just how much the world hates the straight white Christian man. I'm not a victim of it. I'm not a victim. I just want to point it out. Because when Satan rears his ugly head for everybody to see, there's a beauty to it. Because anybody who comes out and defends it, we know which side you're on. And anybody who comes out and condemns it, we know which side you're on, because right now we are in a spiritual war. We are a part of spiritual warfare in which daily people are coming after Christians. But don't consider yourself a victim. You are a fighter. A victim bows, takes the knee, waves the white flag, which the French are all too familiar with. A fighter is a warrior, a prayer, a person who, when they see the things that we're going to talk about today, the things that we're going to disseminate today, they look at it and say, thank God. Thank God for the things I have. Thank God for the values I hold. Thank God that I'm not suffering as much as the people that are currently under a level of satanic, whether it's possession, oppression, or at least influence, as this crazy Smurf man is right on my screen. And so let's talk about some of the most prolific displays of degeneracy that we noticed in the opening ceremony of this terrifying, I don't even want to call it, of the Olympics, because, and we'll talk about why I don't even want to associate this with the Olympics. But let's start off with just this. Let's just understand. Look, when you recognize that it's Satan standing in front of you, you almost take away some of his power. When you say this is bad, when you can stand here, sit here, whatever you're doing, and look at it and say this is bad, that takes away some of Satan's power. So let's do that. Let's start off with the video that I started off with at the beginning. Take a look at the ugly Smurf man. We'll make fun of Satan. Let's do this. So, like this weird Smurf man with all this stuff. Then we also have all these randos in the back. We have this bearded, I mean, it's a man who's dressed like it's pretending to be a woman. All these other people behind, all these people doing very, very gross, just like too sensual. It is too sensual of a performance, but this is so weird. With the head.
Ceremony is entitled Liberty and the Quest for Liberty.
Those are many of the parts that people are discussing in terms of being absolutely satanic. We also have this part right here. So many people, and this is something I got to talk about, because we're gonna talk about every little part of this, but I also want to discuss this other part, because let's just, without even talking about the idea that I want to talk about just how terrible of a pageantry this was. Like, what seemed like it had any actual story to it. It didn't seem like there was a real, like, it seemed hard to follow. Like, take all the cultural and political analysis out of it, like just reacting to it at a base level, it made no sense. It made no sense. It was weird. And not just weird in, like I said, of all the imagery and everything. Like, it just made no sense. It felt like it was very, very difficult to follow. It's like they just took all these random things and threw it on the screen and said, look, doesn't it make sense? And the audience was like, no, it doesn't make sense. But so that was obviously many of the main parts that people were talking about. Let's get a little bit further into this. This is one that I wanted to point out, because a lot of people were coming out and saying, oh my gosh, this must be the end times. This is the book of Revelations coming to life. So take a look and listen at this clip right here. So as you could see, it was like the white horse, man riding on the white horse, and many people were comparing it to the part of the book of Revelations, in which actually I have the exact part up here. So Revelations 19:11 through 16 is what people were comparing it to. 19:11 through 16 in the book of Revelations, which says, roughly, depending on which version you read, it says, "Then I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse. The only one sitting on it is called Faithful and True, and in righteous he judges and makes war. His eyes are like a flame of fire, and on his head are many diadems. And has a name written that no one knows but himself. He is clothed in a robe dipped in blood, and the name by which he is called is the Word of God. And the armies of heaven, arrayed in fine linen, white and pure, were following him on white horses. From his mouth comes a sharp sword with which to strike down the nations, and he will rule them with a rod of iron. He will tread the winepress of the fury of the wrath of God the Almighty. On his robe and on his thigh, he has a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Behold, a white horse." And this obviously is the portion in which book of Revelations, it's the prophecy, prediction in the New Testament of the end of days. What some would call maybe potentially the rapture, or the point at which the great war happens between Lucifer and God in our future. But what I want to say is a lot of people are claiming that this would mean that it's the end of days, that this is going to be, that this is the sign of that. However, what I want to say is that no. Why? First off, we know that this was Satan rearing his ugly head. This is not God. And if we look further into the Bible and we go to Matthew 24:36 through 38, it says, quote, "No one knows when that day or time will be. The Son and the angels in heaven don't know when it will be. Only the Father knows. When the Son of Man comes, it will be the same as what happened during Noah's time. In those days before the flood, people were eating and drinking, marrying and giving their children to be married right up to the day Noah entered the boat. But as it says, like I said in Matthew 24:36, no one knows when that day or time will be. The Son and the angels in heaven don't know when it will be. Only the Father knows." Only God knows. Only God can proclaim when the end of days will be. This is Satan mocking God. So I don't like when people are coming out and saying, "Oh my gosh, this is it. This must be it. We're getting near. We're getting near," because this is Satan. This is the devil himself mocking our Lord Almighty. This is by no means is this God proclaiming the end of days. It isn't. And so that was the white horse. There was also this instance that was very, very weird, promoting sexual degeneracy, in which a throuple was portrayed, and an insinuation of a menage a trois was also shown. So here's this.
Right next to you.
You can see them go into the bedroom. They obviously have a very, very intimate, and then they slam the door, which is obviously, which this is another thing. Like, many people want to come at this from the Christian angle, and of course we're doing that. We're talking about that. But can we also just discuss the fact that we have some of the most like prolific instances of sexual degeneracy being portrayed on the world stage? Like, this is the thing is that this is not simply, I mean, this all can be religious, but even for those that might not necessarily be adherent Christians, can we not recognize that it's weird to have all of this? And so then people were trying to understand, where did this come from? Where did this come from? Well, the artistic director of the Paris Olympics was Thomas Jolly. That was his name, Thomas Jolly, who stated, quote, "Above all, I want this ceremony to include everyone. We must all celebrate this diversity. He also said, quote, I was overwhelmed at first. I wondered, how could I create a show where everyone can feel represented as a part of this great union? This responsibility was ambitious, complex, but magnificent for an artist. Look, not everyone was represented. In fact, I think that so few people were actually represented in this, if you really think about it. So few people were represented in this entire opening ceremony. The people that were represented in this were the insane, the clinically insane. Those that look at the world and see a distorted view, that really don't see nobody grounded in reality was represented in this by any means. And so we even get to a point in this, and we're going to talk about the Last Supper because that's like the biggest one that everybody's obviously talking about. We will talk about that one, but I want to talk about even this because, okay, so so I get a comment here. The Paris Olympics had nothing to do with Christianity. It was based on an ancient Greek myth. This might surprise you, but the whole world is not about you. Stop being such a triggered victim. Okay. I'm going to talk about that. But even if it wasn't about Christianity, which it was, and I have evidence, I will pull up the receipts, we'll talk about it. But even if it wasn't, why are we having overlooking sexualized people, like very drag queens, which are overtly and with the purpose of being in some way sexual? Why are they dancing with children? Like, why is this art? This is not art. This is perversion. This is perverse. Like, these are pedophiles. And all of them should be locked up. Honestly, all of those people should be locked up. They're pedophiles. It's disgusting. And it's by no means, like I said, it's by no means art. It is a crime. It is truly a crime. But then we get to the point, and this is where I'll talk about the Christian portion. Because we could talk, I brought up the white horse thing, and I talked about how Christians are discussing that. But let's talk about the Last Supper part. Because this is where we have people that are claiming, this is about a Greek god. This has nothing to do, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so we'll watch it. We'll look at it. And I'll show you. Whether you like things I've ever seen in my comments, legit doesn't even remotely look like the Last Supper. Yeah, it actually does. And here's a few things that, if you've even had the slightest bit of understanding of art history, you know that pretty much any time that there is a halo such as that, since 0 BC, even before, it's always shown a holy figure. And since Jesus Christ, it's been used to show the Madonna, angels, and Jesus. That's primarily what it's used for, is the holiest of holy. And this looks more like the Last Supper than any other painting that anybody has even said. But I don't even need to compare that. You want to know how I know? The way that I know, we can watch it. Let's watch it. This is Barbara Butch. This is her. It's their whatever. This is their Instagram story from the day of. So there's it having everything done for it because it can't actually do anything on its own, because I was even surprised that it could walk.
Oh my God!
So yeah, so we even have the children there. And then, so Barbara Butch itself posted this with the Last Supper, the New Gay Testament. So this didn't have anything to do with Christianity. It doesn't even look like the Last Supper. Come on. It doesn't even look legit, doesn't even look like remotely close. Even the person in the picture, it's literally the person in the picture saying this is the new gay testament and comparing it to the Last Supper on their own social media. Like, you'd have to have the brain function, the brain capacity of like a lobotomized individual to not see it, to not recognize it. Come on. Come on. This is the visual explanation of saying putting lipstick on a pig. Like, even the person in the picture said it was. So anybody out there, this is why I think it is so, and then even we can finish the story too. There's more to this individual. I just think it's so funny watching. Yeah, but so it literally says the New Gay Testament. Like, it was clearly, even by the person in the picture, meant in some way to be a play on Christianity. And then we also have even the Paris Olympics organizers, who issued an apology. They issued an apology. And I can tell you, it's one of the most half-baked apologies I've ever heard. They mocked Christianity during the opening ceremony. We see it. We see it. And if you don't see it, it's because you're purposefully ignorant. You are purposefully ignorant if you don't see it. Organizers say they're, quote, really sorry if they offended anyone, saying they were, quote, that was, quote, never an intention. Quote, clearly, there was never an intention to show disrespect to any religious group. They tried to collaborate or celebrate community tolerance. We believe this ambition was achieved. If people have taken any offense, we are really sorry. And this comes as the self-described obese Jewish queer lesbian who played Jesus, just like I showed you, described this as the New Gay Testament. Right here, you can see it in the corner. Described it as the New Gay Testament. Compared it to the Last Supper. One of the most iconic paintings ever. And yet you'll still have idiots, like the dumbest people, saying, this is not Christianity. You're not mocking Christianity. You're just playing the victim. And also, I don't see myself as a victim of this. I just think it's just a perfect... what I hate is that you'll have people out there that'll be like, no one is hating on Christianity. No one is hating on Christianity. Obviously they are. But if you got up there and had a fundamental truth, or somebody said a fundamental truth, such as Islam is an abhorrent religion because their prophet is a known pedophile, like their entire prophet, like their entire belief system is based on a pedophile, because I see things like this unprovable claim from a dissenter that says the Catholic who supports an international child rape trafficking organization that cosplays as a religion. Okay. Catholicism is the oldest, is the original church. Catholicism is the original church. All other sects of Christianity are deviations of Catholicism, in which they took out books, they had different deviations, they found their own denomination through what was originally Catholicism. So, and also this insinuates that I intentionally support some cabal of child trafficking. No, this sounds like the kind of thing that a secular atheist that is being plagued by Satan would say. That's what it really sounds like, because it sounds like somebody who is offended by the fact that I'm a practicing Catholic. That's really what it sounds like. That's what I would say. Sounds like somebody that just doesn't really know what they're talking about. Quite frankly, somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about. That's really what I would say. And thank you for saying that my hair looks good. And I'm not denying, this is the thing, is I'm not denying that they had some things that had to do with ancient Greeks. Because obviously the Olympics have to do with the ancient Greeks. I'm not an idiot. But that doesn't mean that they're not also in some way trying to slight Christians Like, it doesn't just, you can have both at the same time. And they do this by utilizing the most sexually deviant, the most insane, delusional people, the bearded ladies, the freaks, the freak show. It's all the people that couldn't actually, they weren't good at sports in high school. And so they decided to give them free reign on the opening ceremony. And it ended up going so poorly. So poorly. I'd love to see Gorlock the Destroyer Part 2, French Gorlock. I would love to see this thing try to play any of the sports. Maybe if they did diving, they could win the cannonball competition. That's what I would say. Because I am so unhappy with the fact that something that's supposed to be a time of nations coming together was used to exalt a politically and culturally divisive message. And also something that is like genuinely satanic. And it is satanic. Like, you can't, if you're a Christian and you don't see it as some level of Satan at play in that, then read your Bible a little bit more. And then but there's perfect examples of that too, of Christians coming out and having absolutely no problem with this. And one is self-proclaimed Christian and First Lady of the United States, Dr. Jill Biden, who seems to have no issue with any of this and seems to think that it's art. And I think it's because there was a man's ball sack that came out. I can't show that one on YouTube. I wanted to show that on YouTube, but I can't. They won't let me. But not even kidding. There are real screenshots. Of a man's ball sack slipping. A man that was like around children. There was children around him at the time, slipping out of his shorts. A man's ball sack coming out of his shorts. A real man's ball sack coming out of his shorts. An actual thing. Like, how many times do I have to say? A man's ball sack came out of his shorts on international television with 1 billion people watching. If not 1 billion, then millions. There's a man's ball sack coming out. But I guarantee you that man would just say, well, I'm a woman, so I don't actually have a ball sack, so you didn't actually even see it. And then they're going to gaslight the shit out of you. But okay, so here's Jill Biden saying that the man's ball sack is art.
It was spectacular. The rain did not dampen our spirits. And Casey, honestly, every step of the way, I was thinking to myself, oh my God, how are we going to top this? So, okay, so Paris has the, Eiffel Tower, but we have Hollywood and the magic of Hollywood that makes all dreams come true. So I think we're going to be okay. It was spectacular.
It was spectacular. Okay, Jill Biden having fun watching that man's ball sack, and she just thinks that ball sack was spectacular. I wonder what Kamla thinks. I bet she was real happy to see it. It must have reminded of her time as a prosecutor. But that's what we see. But some people are fighting back. Some people recognize it for what it actually was. And so a perfect example of that is a tech company who drops their support of the Olympics, over the mockery of Christianity in the opening ceremony. So at least one supporter has withdrawn from the 2024 Olympic Games after the game's opening ceremony featured a blasphemous display of the Last Supper. C-Spire, a telecommunications and technology company based in Mississippi, announced on Saturday that it was pulling advertising from the Olympics after the opening ceremony featured a scene of the Last Supper, but with drag queens playing the roles of Jesus and the apostles. We are shocked by the mockery of the Last Supper during the opening ceremonies of the Paris Olympics. C-Spire will be pulling our advertising from the Olympics, the tech company said in a post on social media. You can see that. Bishop Robert Barron of the Diocese of Winona, Rochester in Minnesota, a popular Catholic commentator, condemned the Olympics display as a gross mockery and urged Christians to make our voices heard. So, yeah, so it's a good thing. There are some people that are calling it out. I mean, like, there's a lot of people on X and everything that are making it known, and to even the people that to say things like secular France triggered Kev and I'm loving it. No, what I'm doing is voicing the anger and the frustration that I guarantee you so many others see this. And if you could be obsessed with me all you want, like, take it as a compliment. I know, like somebody said earlier, my hair does look good today. So if you just think that, then beautiful. Thank you. But there are, like, the thing is that when we have these people fighting back like this, and we have people getting very riled up over it, it's a good thing. It is a good thing because we're trying to point out when there is something that is blatantly, we're going through that spiritual war. And if there was nothing to be unhappy about, then why is it that the Olympics themselves, they themselves are pulling like all the footage off of Twitter and everything like that? Why else would they be pulling their footage and everything? I actually had a tweet about this. Olympics polling. If there was nothing to be unhappy about, if there was nothing that was controversial about it, if it's not something that we should talk about and is clearly shouldn't have happened, then why are they? Here's an example right here. Olympic ceremony highlights right here. Pulled. It's not there anymore. You can't watch it. You can't watch it. Libs of TikTok, I'm pretty sure, even posted about it too. Because they had it tweeted on theirs, and you can't see it on their stuff anymore. I got to make sure they don't have it's on here. I know they post so much, but you can see. Where is it? The Olympics are pulling all of it off. Yeah, the Olympics deleted all the footage. They don't want you to see their sick, satanic, degenerate opening ceremony. Actually, you know what to do. They will not let you see any of it. Why? Because it was controversial. Because they know it's something that's worth getting angry about. So, sure, call me triggered, whatever. But like, I'm unhappy because, like, my faith was not only mocked, but also because, like, we're actively as a society allowing and exalting Satan. Like, I'm not going to be happy about that. Like, I'm going to be mad, and I have every right to be. So, and if you don't like it, then I know who you're working for. Someone does have a crush on me. Thank you. I'm taken. Thank you. What I will say, though, is we see things with all this unhappiness over the Olympics. We do see people, and it's great that we have companies that are even coming out and saying, like, I'm not going to support this monetarily. But something that's even further controversial is calling to boycott the games themselves. And so I want to take a look and a listen. This is Ryan Garcia, a lightweight boxer. Let's take a look and a listen at what he had to say on X immediately following the opening ceremony.
Hey guys, I'm going to be real. What they did at the Olympics, they all need to get canceled. You guys think this is a joke? It ain't a joke. Christians, stand up. Boycott the Olympics. The Olympics are done. Once you disrespect Jesus in front of billions of people, it's finished. You guys are done. I don't like trans people at all.
So I like everything. I love that. Good comment. But I want to talk about boycotting because I feel really bad. And I think Riley Gaines, the former swimmer and former guest on Speechless, Riley Gaines put my feelings on that entire situation very, very well. The entire idea of boycotting, not watching, everything like that. This is what Riley Gaines had to say. She said, I feel heartbroken for the Olympic athletes who train their entire lives to compete on that stage, but will now have significantly fewer eyes watching and admiring because of the satanic, blasphemous display put on by the Olympic organizers. Yeah, I 100% agree. And so, like, I'm not going to tell anybody. As a Christian myself, I do not blame a single person. I don't blame a single person for boycotting the Olympics and being unhappy with it. I'm unhappy with it. But I feel absolutely awful for the athletes who worked so hard. And not even just the athletes. Look, because everybody is talking about the satanic display, whether you want to mock me for believing in Satan, the only person, I shouldn't even say person, the only entity that would mock me for believing in Satan would be Satan himself. So let's just be clear about that. Satan would be working through somebody to mock me for that. And it's very, very sad. But I'll constantly fight it. And I will stand up against that hatred to expose people to God's word and pray for those. And that's the thing. For all those affected, as much as I'll make fun of, as much as I will make fun of everything that happened, we know what we truly need to do is pray for anybody who is so burdened by the weight that the devil himself is putting on them. And so what we really need to talk about, not only should we make fun of, pray for, or make fun of the devil, pray for those who are subjected to his oppression, but we also need to point out the moments of God, because everybody is talking about the devil right now. Everybody is. Everybody is talking about how the devil reared his ugly head at the Olympics. But what you probably haven't heard about, are the instances in which God showed himself very, very clearly at the Olympics. He has already. And so let's talk about two stories where God truly, truly was there in Paris. This first one just happened, I believe, today or within the last few hours, in which a 16-year-old Brazilian Olympian, her name, Racia Leal, won a bronze medal in women's street skateboarding, which is a kind of a weird sport to see there, but she did. She won a bronze medal in women's street skateboarding and used sign language. And in sign language, she signed the message, "Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life." Take a look.
Brasil! O do Brasil!
Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. The sad thing is many people did not see this because they were boycotting due to Satan being at the opening. So we need to spread this kind of message, and it's on my Twitter right now. My friend John Root posted it. Everybody go like and retweet it. That this young woman took it into her hands to say Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life after the satanic display that we saw. God is real. God is there. Now, along with that, and you can have beliefs on this next person that she might, I don't know her political opinions. And so like you can have beliefs on who she is, what she believes in, anything like that. But I want to talk about somebody who was at the opening ceremony, and I firmly believe was granted a gift from God at the opening ceremony. And this is the popular recording artist, Celine Dion. So as many of you guys might know, Celine Dion absolutely wowed the Paris Olympics when she returned to the stage Friday for the first time in years, amid her health battle with an autoimmune disorder called stiff person syndrome after being diagnosed in 2022. In clips that surface on X, the 56-year-old Grammy winner appeared on a stage on the Eiffel Tower singing in French Edith Piaf's Hymn à l'Amour as she performed the final act in the opening ceremony for the 2024 Summer Olympics. Performing in a sparkling silver sequin gown, she sounded just as incredible as ever, as she was accompanied by a pianist who won 5 Olympic rings, appearing to float above her. At the end of her song, the crowd can be heard cheering loudly and clapping. And I want to watch a little bit of this because this is truly a miracle. If we look into a little bit of what stiff person syndrome is, it's also known as stiff man syndrome. It's a rare neurological disorder of an unclear cause. You can't necessarily predict it. Characterized by muscular rigidity and stiffness. The stiffness primarily affects the truncal muscles and is characterized as spasms, resulting in postural deformities. So it makes it very difficult to move. It makes it very difficult for your muscles. And for anybody who knows, singing, period, but especially singing at the caliber that Celine Dion does, it takes a significant level of muscle from the and muscle control from the mouth and throat. And so to see this is truly, truly a gift from God, whether even she recognizes it or not. I apologize for being muted. I was muting myself so we could all make sure we could hear that. What I was saying is, if that is not proof of God, I do not know what is. As I see in the comment section, she's probably a liberal. I mean, many in the entertainment industry are. She might not even recognize the gift from the Lord Almighty that she was granted. But along with the fact that she is suffering from such a serious and rare illness, I'm getting clipped for feedback sometimes. I'm sorry, I can't control everything. I'm doing the best as I can. Relationship with God that you don't even know about as well. But God is always there, waiting for you to seek him out. The devil is constantly coming for you. So take a moment. While the world is begging, not even the world, while the devil is begging for your attention, take a moment to recognize God's presence as well. Because I'm willing to bet, after that opening ceremony, I'm willing to bet that a lot of these athletes that are there are just as unhappy with what is being represented. And they will take an opportunity to praise the Lord, thank him for their God-given gift, and utilize the platform that they are given to exalt him. And I think there's a lot of beauty in that. I want to take another moment to just listen to a little bit more of what Celine Dion, her voice and everything, because I think it is, once again, this is an act of God, is real. God is real. I had never watched that full clip before. I think it was worth watching. And like I said, to recap, Satan will constantly try to distract you. Satan will consistently try to trick you into believing that the end of days are ahead. Satan will try to make you feel that fear. But God will remind you that he's there. God will remind you that he's there. And he has, and he will. So put your faith in him. Because while everybody was talking about the devil, God was right there. Truly. That's what I think, but maybe I'm wrong. You guys can let me know in the comments, as you always do. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends, all that fun stuff. Don't worry, guys. We have updates to do with the election. We have a new segment I'm really excited for. We got maybe a reaction video if we have time. And don't worry, we are going to get to Dear Kev, my version of Dear Abby. Everybody, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Speechless. Excuse me, after this word from one of my sponsors.
Blah, 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 blah. What are you talking about? Here, have some Freedom 2.0. Now, the Constitution is awesome. Type 1A.
I usually have a bottle of Freedom 2.0. I love Freedom 2.0, but I am getting ready to move. Here's a quick life update for everybody who's watching. I am getting ready to move to Virginia. I'm moving to Virginia, going to law school at Liberty University. So big things coming. Speechless, however, is not going anywhere. And to make sure you guys don't miss a minute, you can track my move. You can see how some things will change, what will stay the same. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe, ring that notification bell, hit it to all, because ScrewTube doesn't like when you see my stuff. They pick and choose. Comment what you think. As always, get that comment section rolling and make me a Kamala Harris ad, or make me a Democrat ad for president, and it would be like, okay, we're gonna create a false dichotomy of what kind of country do you want to live in. Then we're going to reference the other guy, your opponent. And we're going to say they're chaotic. They are bad. They might make you scared. And they don't like you. They're mean. We don't like them. Oh, but then there's us. And we like a lot of vague terms and mischaracterizations of policy. So that's why we like freedom. And then, but we're not even going to just talk about actual freedom. We're not going to talk about your freedom of speech, your freedom to own, your right to bear arms. We're not going to talk about those. No. We're going to talk about things that aren't anywhere listed. We're going to talk about all the gay crap and the gay and trans crap, because that's her policy. Then the AI will tell you this freedom not to just get by, but get ahead. Get ahead of what? Again, utilization of vague terms that might make someone feel good, but don't actually say anything. Freedom to be safe from gun violence. What does that actually mean? Because I would argue that being safe from gun violence would mean to arm as many good people as possible and embolden our police forces. The freedom to make decisions about your own body. Well, I would agree with that. But if that means murdering a baby, then is that really freedom? Where no child lives in poverty. How are we going to do that? I have no issue with promoting the idea of getting people out of poverty. But is that through means of stealing from people? Is that really freedom? All afford health care. Once again, I have no problem with working towards having everybody be able to afford health care. But if that means, once again, stealing people's labor, I have a problem with that. That's not freedom. That takes away somebody else's freedom. And that's the thing, is all of this ad that we just watched, it uses the buzzwords. It uses the things that make people feel the good way. Oh, well, that makes me feel good. I feel good saying that we're going to lift people out of poverty. I feel good that we're going to help everybody afford health care. But the entirety of it is actually hypocritical. Because on one hand, we support freedom, but on the other hand, we want to take your guns away. We want to take away an unborn child's right to life. We want to take away your freedom to have your paycheck and keep the amount that you actually earned. We want to utilize the money that you earned and give it to somebody who has proven that they don't have a good track record of money, of spending money. We want to give it to people for their health care, which, again, I have no problem with working against childhood poverty. and helping children get out of and making sure children don't grow up in poverty. I have no issue with helping people afford health care. But if it's sacrificing somebody else's freedom, if we're taking away somebody else's freedom to give somebody else something more, then are we really about freedom? The no one is above the law. Do I even need to say it? Do I even need to say it? Do I even need to say it? Kamala? Joe Biden? You yourself have benefited from criminal activity. So no one is above the law until it comes to you. So, okay, let's talk about that. And also not to mention the fact that isn't that also taking away somebody's freedom? You're not really about freedom if you're taking away his. Just saying. Believe in the promise of America. I thought the promise of America was racist, Kamala. I thought everybody was a racist. What the heck? What the heck? This was an AI advertisement. It was one of the most basic things and promoted one of the dumbest people. And it obviously had all the DEI stuff in there. Like, okay, we're not, they had, I think I counted one white guy in there that was like prominent. I guess you could see that one. There's one. There's another one that I saw, I thought near the beginning, maybe. One white guy. And then the only other, like, there were more white guys in the Trump parts than there were in the other parts. So all about diversity, unless it's the people that look like me. Thanks, Kamala. But that's what's going on with Kamala's campaign promoting herself. But once again, she can never actually promote herself. Nowhere in there is that, like, that's the weird thing. You want to know what's really weird? It's not even about what she says in this advertisement. What's really weird about this ad is what she doesn't say. Kamala was a prosecutor. Kamala was a district attorney. Kamala was a senator. Kamala is the vice president. Not a single time is this like, I have a proven track record. I am a good candidate because I've won before. All she said, the closest thing is she said, when we fight, we win. I guess, Kamala, a more fitting description is when you're on your knees, you win. Because that's the only way you got to where you are. And if you have a problem with me saying that, look up Willie Brown. Read his autobiography, and you'll know. So, when we talk about this, when we look at this, we see Kamala Harris cannot run on her record. She will not run on her record, apparently. But when she does try to run on anything, what she does is she enlists the mainstream media to lie for her. I'm not even kidding you. In this last week, we got inundated with lies about the opponent to try to make her look better. And if it wasn't lies about her opponent, it was about her, period. The first example of this was the border czar lie. Anybody who, you don't have to be, you could literally be 4 years old and you know that Kamala Harris was named the border czar, but somehow they paid off the mainstream media to look the other way on all of this. And so take a look and listen. We could just look right here. This was a great compilation that I found where it shows not only the mainstream media today lying about Kamala being the border czar, but then also the mainstream media just a few years ago admitting that she was the border czar. Here's this.
She was put in charge of the border.
Nope. She was put in charge of reaching out to the South and Central
Root
American
migration.
countries to stem the immigration.
She wasn't the border czar.
She was not actually the border czar.
She is not the border czar.
She was never border czar.
She was not the border czar.
Let's be very clear. There was no border czar.
President Biden put his vice president, Kamala Harris, in charge of one of his administration's growing challenges. She is now the point person on immigration.
Vice President Harris is now the Biden administration's point person
to oversee his administration's efforts to stem the flow of migrants.
Kamala Harris, the point person on immigration.
The point person in the effort to stop the flow of migrants.
Kamala Harris will lead the response to the border challenge. Kamala Harris to lead the White House efforts to tackle migration challenges at the U.S.-Mexico border.
To take the lead on overseeing all of these efforts at the border.
Putting his vice president, Kamala Harris, in charge of this.
Her first big portfolio item
to oversee solutions.
And I have confidence that she's going to do a good job in this role. I think President Biden made a good decision, a wise move.
So we're getting lied to, and it's very clear. I mean, we saw. They will constantly say, she's not the border czar. She's not the border czar. She's not the border czar. Trump is lying to you. You're getting lied to. This is all crap. No. She was the border czar. She is the border czar. She was tasked with curbing the immigration crisis that we have across our southern border. And she failed. And when she was asked about it, even when she was like asked about it in the past, she was, why haven't you gone to the border? It was like 90 some days. Why haven't you gone to the border? Why haven't you gone to the border? Well, I haven't gone to Europe. That's how she sounds. Sounds like the fucking dolphin from SpongeBob. And somehow the mainstream media falls right in line with this narrative. But it's not just the mainstream media. Our big tech oligarchs are also working against us. Just today, a massive notice from people online is that Google is omitting the Trump assassination from a key feature, as Don Jr. claims big tech is trying to interfere with the election. A key Google feature is failing to show the results for the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, drawing claims from the former president's son that big tech companies are trying to influence the election. It also sparked a Senate investigation. Google users were surprised to discover that the search engine's autocomplete was apparently omitting suggested results related to the assassination attempt against Donald Trump. The anomaly quickly caught the attention of social media users, including a Texas congressman and Donald Trump Jr., who began sharing screenshots of their own examples. Let's see if we actually have any of those here. Yeah, you can see, so Trump assassination attempt. I can even go pull up the tweet of Don Jr. But this is like you will have lefties who will claim there was no election interference. There was no election interference. It was no one else. It was simply if there was election interference, it was entirely to benefit Republicans. But you can see right here. Assassination attempt on Reagan, Bob Marley, Lennon, Gerald Ford. Nothing about Trump. Trump, this should have been like the most Googled thing. Let's even go into, I'll go to google.com right now. Let's see. Maybe it's fixed by now. Or it's not. We'll see. But I'll go to Google. This is my Google right here. You can see there's some stupid doodle. And we go assassination attempt on nowhere. Truman, President Truman, Reagan, Ronald Reagan, Lenin, Teddy Roosevelt, Franklin. It's nowhere here. It is nowhere here. TRUMP. I typed the full thing I typed all of it into here, and it will not suggest anything regarding it. Assassination attempt, nowhere to be seen. Look, do I think that this is going to make or break even a single voter? Probably not. Probably not. What I more so have an issue is that this is blatantly our number one search engine in the entire world is rewriting history. If this is already happening here, 50 years from now, somehow the game of telephone from now to then, let's go 100 years, so that most people that are actually alive when it happened probably won't be alive then. Let's go 100 years from now. A history book could say, actually, President Trump tried to shoot somebody else at a rally in Pennsylvania. It starts here. We are seeing the revision of history happen before our eyes. And the only thing that we have to truly know that this is happening, to have the open and free communication of this information, is really X, and then people like me. I don't want to say like I'm God King or anything. Like I love the people that watch me, but there's people much bigger than me that are showing this kind of stuff off, that are sharing it. And so go follow those people. Support me. Support these other people. Like, subscribe, comment, share. I'd appreciate it because there is no other way that we will never know. And I'm going to cut this and I'm going to try to put it on YouTube so that people can see, just like this specific thing of me even going into Google and trying to show you whether or not this will come up. And it won't. It really is not there. Like, we are watching the revision of history happen before our eyes, and it is absolutely disgusting. It is absolutely disgusting. But not only are they trying to revise history through the border czar thing and also the assassination attempt that happened 3 weeks ago, there was also this odd story about J.D. Vance having sex with a couch. It's a real story. Well, I'm not saying that it's true, like that he actually did, but this is a story that is coming up, and it's about J.D. Vance and whether or not he had sex with a couch. And so let's debunk it. Did J.D. Vance have sex with a couch? Well, let's read this New York Post article right here all together. The Associated Press, I don't want this stupid ad. The Associated Press takes down a fact-check story about ridiculous X-rated J.D. Vance hoax. The Associated Press is being ridiculed after it pulled down a, quote, fact-check story on an X-rated hoax about Donald Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, involving a couch and a rubber glove, claiming, quote, it didn't go through their standard editing process. The article, which was tagged in an authoritative AP fact-checked header, was titled, quote, no, J.D. Vance did not have sex with a couch, alluding to a fake claim that the Ohio senator described making love to a sofa in graphic detail in his 2016 memoir, Hillbilly Elegy. The salacious hoax spread like wildfire on social media, reportedly sparked by an X user who tweeted out a description of the alleged lewd act, complete with a bogus citation. Of course, no passage exists in Hillbilly Elegy, but that didn't stop the rumor from spreading, with many apparently believing it was true, including the comedian and known twit, I love that little known twit, Kathy Griffin. After the post went viral, AP fact-checkers sprang into action, vowing to leave no stone unturned. The Wire's service's rigorous assessment included scanning through the searchable PDF of the book for the word couch or couches, which came up to 10 times in total, though never included a context of a sex act. Other users specifically cited pages 179 to 181 as the portion of the book in which the story allegedly appears. But at no point in his memoir does Vance write about performing sex acts with a couch. The article was published around 3 p.m. Wednesday and had vanished by Thursday morning. The link only returned a page unavailable error. So I do recommend everybody read Hillbilly Elegy as a side note. It tells the story of Vance's rural upbringing in Middletown, Ohio. But this is literally what has to happen, is they have so little on J.D. Vance. They'll claim that they hate him. They'll claim he's too conservative. Yeah, like 80% of Republicans dislike him. Chuck Schumer came out today and said that thank God for Trump doing that because that's going to make it easier for us. And we don't like J.D. Vance, blah, 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 blah. Okay. All I'm hearing is there's more reason to like him. If everybody else in D.C. doesn't, I like him more. That's what I say. That's what I say. They literally have to make up stories about this man. That's what they got to do. And even if this was true, this is not like Willie Brown, Kamala putting away people for weed and then admitting to smoking it. The entire border crisis. Having sex with a couch is a walk in the park of a scandal compared to what Kamala Harris's record actually is, verifiably. So, but no, to answer your question, J.D. Vance did not have sex with a couch. And if you like that, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, all that fun stuff. But then there was even this other story of J.D. Vance's loyalty. And you might have seen I did a small short. And like I said, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment. You'll see. And if you guys even find me on like TikTok and everything like that, you'll see I've been doing these other shorts and stuff. But in Kamala Harris's first video that she put out, which is not the only time Kamala Harris has put out, but ding. She talked about J.D. Vance's loyalty and insinuated this idea that he had no loyalty to the country. Take a look and a listen right here.
So Donald Trump has picked his new running mate, J.D. Vance. Trump looked for someone he knew would be a rubber stamp for his extreme agenda, and make no mistake, J.D. Vance will be loyal only to Trump, not to our country. And unlike Mike Pence, Vance said he would have carried out Trump's plan to overturn the 2020 election. He supports a national abortion ban and voted against protecting IVF. And if elected, he will help implement the extreme Project 2025 plan for a second Trump term.
Also, Trump has distanced himself from Project 2025, said he literally knew nothing about it. It's a 900-page document from the Heritage Foundation, which Trump has had some hand in, but never had anything to do with 2025. That's a whole digression, but we'll let her finish this off just so that you can actually understand, because I've been accused of not necessarily showing the full context. So here's the full context of the full video.
Which would target critical programs like Head Start and Medicare. But we are not going to let that happen.
So once again, if you missed the part where she talked about loyalty, it's right here.
For someone he knew would be a rubber stamp for his extreme agenda, and make no mistake, J.D. Vance will be loyal only to Trump, not to our country. And
will be only loyal to Trump and not to our country. Not so you don't think J.D. Vance would be loyal to our country? The man who literally enlisted into the military to become a Marine in 2003, the minute he graduated high school, because while he was in high school, 9/11 happened. The man who served our country, put his life on the line. And look, I don't want to say that serving in the military automatically means you're loyal to this country, that you have like an unending, but it's much more likely. I would say that somebody who served in this military is more likely to be loyal to this country than I am. More likely. Not necessarily automatically is, but is more likely. Not to mention that I would say the person that served in our military is more loyal to this country, or is more likely to be loyal to this country than Kamala Harris, who stands by Joe Biden's blunder that was his withdrawal from Afghanistan, in which 60 Afghani civilians died and 13 U.S. soldiers died, and they claimed it was a success. Kamala stands behind that. I would claim that he's more loyal to this country than Kamala, who lied to the American people, saying the commander-in-chief, the person who is supposed to emit strength and lead this country, she claimed that he was perfectly healthy when it is abundantly clear that he was not, that he's deteriorating mentally. I would totally believe that J.D. Vance is more loyal to this country than the person who is allowing millions and millions of migrants to pour in to our country, shows no remorse for the illegal immigrants who are murdering people, bringing in drugs, trafficking children, and then also wants to give them amnesty, the right to vote, and provide them with health care. True, she actually helped, if not sponsored, she supported a bill that would give illegal immigrants access to free health care. I believe the person who served as a Marine is more loyal to this country than the person who seems to support non-citizens of this country more than she supports real citizens. And J.D. Vance, in one of his best clips yet, gives a phenomenal response to Kamala's claim right here.
I saw the other day Kamala Harris questioned my loyalty to this country. That's the word she used, loyalty. And it's an interesting word, simplify, loyalty, because there is no greater sign of this loyalty to this country than what Kamala Harris has done at our southern border. And I'd like to ask the Vice President, what has she done to question my loyalty to this country? I served in the United States Marine Corps. I went to Iraq for this country. of business for this country. And my running mate took a bullet for this country. So my question to Kamala Harris is, what the hell have you done to question our loyalty to the United States of America? And the answer, my friends, is nothing. So let's send a message to the media. Let's send a message to Kamala Harris. Let's send a message to every hardworking patriot from Minnesota across the country. We are ready to have President Donald J. Trump back, and we're going to work our tails off to make sure it happens. God bless you all. Thank you. And thank you for having me, Minnesota, a great state.
And amazing, and honestly, she gave him the perfect ammunition for pretty much every rally from now on. And I do want to admit, yes, Adam Kinzinger, Tammy Duckworth, people that I don't like politically served this country. One, that doesn't distract from their service. Two, this is why I said being a service member does not automatically mean loyalty to this country. But when Kamala Harris, who was not a service member, claims to have served this country in other ways, definitely served Willie Brown in certain ways, says that J.D. Vance is not going to be loyal to this country and only to Trump. He has a lot more going for him and a lot of reasons, including his military service, and then everything on top of that as well, that show that he is more loyal to this country than Adam Kinzinger, than Tammy Duckworth, and Kamala Harris. But if you still disagree with me, don't forget, you can comment. Let me know in the comments. And also, while you're doing that, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends. Now, those are a lot of the different lies, the revisions of history, and the little bit that we've seen come out of this campaign season already. A lot of that making headlines just in this last week. So imagine how our next months are going to be before the election. It's going to be insane. I'm telling you, it's really going to be insane. I predicted it even last year. We knew that it was going to be insane. And to speak of the insanity, and I kind of just did this with that, but I'm starting a new segment here, and this is the way that I wanted to do it because this is a headline that was really blowing up today specifically. And so I want to talk about this, which is it's a new segment I have, everybody. And right before I get into this, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends, all that fun stuff. But a new segment here today called The Headline versus the Truth, right here. The headline versus the truth. In this segment, I will talk about the headline, what everybody seems to be talking about, and then debunk it with the truth. And so to start off, here is the headline. Kamala Harris is taking a bump since her announcement in the polls. Seems to be, in some cases, even maybe beating Donald Trump in certain swing states. And many people are taking note with that. Take a look and listen to this clip that describes the headline right here.
But we begin with this wild U.S. presidential election. We are officially 100 days to Election Day, and you can be forgiven for needing to catch your breath after the transformational events of the past 31 days. It was just 1 month ago that the 2024 race was turned on its head by President Biden's catastrophic debate performance, leading to a drumbeat of calls for him to leave the race. Just 2 weeks ago, an attempted assassin tried to take the life of former President Trump, but he rose up with defiance heading into the GOP convention with seemingly all the momentum behind him and the new Trump-Vance ticket. And it was just 1 week ago that President Biden did what he said only the Lord Almighty could make him do, announcing he was leaving the race and giving his full support to his vice president, Kamala Harris. A tidal wave of endorsements followed, putting Harris on track to be the second woman in history to be a major party nominee, just 8 years after Hillary Clinton was defeated by Donald Trump. This morning, our brand new ABC News Ipsos poll shows Harris getting a real bounce. Her favorability rating among all Americans up 8 points in just 1 week. The number's even better among independents, with her favorability rising from 28% to 44% since Biden left the race. And there appears to be new enthusiasm for Harris, with 48% enthusiastic about her as the Democratic nominee, compared to 39% enthusiastic about Trump as the GOP nominee.
Okay, so that's the headline, everybody. That's what everybody's talking about. You have a lot of liberals. There's liberals and even some conservatives. Liberals who are excited about this on the social media. And then you have conservatives who are scared. They're shaking in their boots. That's the headline. But let's talk about the truth. The truth is we are in a honeymoon phase right now, everybody. The Democrats had set the bar lower than the 6-foot grave that Joe Biden has 1 foot in. The bar was so low for how to have enthusiasm for a Democrat candidate that even somebody as unlikable as Kamala Harris could receive the honeymoon bump. Democrats are enthusiastic about Kamala because they would have been enthusiastic about like a lemur or a rat over Joe Biden, because at least a lemur or a rat looks alive. And if you're wondering why I came up with lemur, I literally have no idea. That was just the first thing that came into my head. They would have been happy with a llama, any zoo animal, because it would have been more alive than Joe Biden. We are in a honeymoon phase, and that is why she is receiving this bump. That's why she's receiving this money. But at the same time, don't get comfortable. We have to cut this off, and we have to remind everybody of a few things. How unlikable Kamala Harris is. And also, while that poll is startling, consider these. An On Point Politics / SoCal Research survey shows Trump with a majority support leading Harris 51% to 43% in one of the first national polls conducted after Biden left the race. This was just last Monday. A Quinnipiac poll released last Monday shows a too close to call race with Trump at 45% to 41% in a 6-way run, including minor candidates. So when you include all the candidates together, Trump still wins by a hair compared to other candidates. To put that in perspective, Trump was up by 5 points against Biden in the same scenario. So yeah, he's taken a little bit of a loss, but then the dramatic reset at the top of the Democrat ticket does little to move the race as Vice President Harris enters the fray with numbers similar to President Biden, said Quinnipiac University polling analyst Tim Malloy. So it's not looking like this really has as much of an effect as people are claiming. And once again, while she has this honeymoon phase, wait for the debates. Wait for the American people to actually be exposed to her having to go toe-to-toe, defend her record, defend everything of the last few years against Donald Trump. Because once again, Kamala is unlikable. And here's just a taste of what we're going to see.
There are reports that say that you have the lowest approval rating of any vice president. Well, there are polls that also say I have great approval ratings.
Swing voters don't like Harris. How big a drag is Kamala Harris on the ticket?
She's a pretty big drag. I think she was arguably Biden's worst political decision.
They don't like her. There's lots of reasons they don't like her.
Kamala Harris's approval rating is now at 28%, which is an historic low for any modern vice president.
We're hearing it from mainstream media, one outlet after another, one leak after another. That Kamala Harris is the worst vice president ever, the worst politician ever.
We don't see the vice president. What people are saying to me, and I'm sure they're saying it to you, where's the vice president? Some White House officials are feeling that she came off looking unprepared for inevitable questions about when she might visit the southern border.
We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe.
And I mean, I don't understand the point that you're making.
The point that Lester Holt was making was obvious to anyone else who was watching this interview, which is that the issues at the border are inextricably linked with the portfolio that she's been given.
The border is secure. We have a secure border. Bidenomics is working. Prices have gone up. And families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up.
He picked Kamala Harris to be his running mate. She was ranked and is ranked as the most liberal senator in the United States Senate. So he could have gone the other way, but he went to the left.
Joe Biden is running for re-election, and I will be his ticket mate. Full stop. Full stop. Sit.
Kamala the terrible. Kamala the terrible. Lying Kamala. That's what she is. People don't like Kamala Harris. So while the headline might say that Kamala is getting a bump and people seem to like her, it's because the bar was so low she stepped right over it. Joe Biden's corpse was the bar, and she stepped right over it. And once people are reminded of the Kamala that had to drop out before Iowa because her polling numbers were so bad in 2020, once people are reminded of her record as the border czar, when she has to answer for her scandals with Willie Brown and her record as the most liberal senator, when she actually has to go toe-to-toe with Donald Trump, people are going to be realized that the headline is different than the truth. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends. And that, everybody, is the new segment of the headline versus the truth. Do you guys like that? I hope you guys like that. I spent earlier today, making that little clip, that little video. I want to make it like visually appealing and stuff like that. I did it. I hope you guys like that. I appreciate it if you did. Let me know in the comments if you liked it. I'm going to clip that, make it its own little stuff. But I do have more. Was it too loud? Let me know what the volume on that clip was too. But I want to talk about this because it's new, and then we're going to get to the Dear Kev stuff. Am I racist? I get in my comments section all the time. People say, you must be a racist. That's why you don't like Kamala. Stuff like that. You're a racist, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff. You know, you guys know. If you're a conservative, you see it, you get it. Am I racist? But that question has also been posed by documentarian and amazing podcast host, a person I try to model myself off of, Matt Walsh, in a new documentary that's coming out. But not only a documentary, the Daily Wire's first theatrical release. They came out with the trailer of it that last week, and I want to react to it with you guys. Am I Racist? The new film coming out with Matt Walsh. And I got to be honest, this looks like the perfect follow-up to What is a Woman. Here's this.
Let's be clear what's happening in this country. It's Nazism. Republicans are Nazis. You cannot separate yourselves from the bad white people.
Growing up in the 90s, I never thought much about race. Sure, you noticed, but never really seemed to matter that much, at least not to me.
Being a white, straight, cisgender man, it's the top of the pile.
I'm on the top of the pile. That's me. Am I racist?
I would really appreciate it if you left.
I'm trying to learn. I'm on this journey.
Can you please leave?
If I'm going to sort this out, I need to go deeper undercover. If I want to be an ally, I need to look like one.
What is racism?
Martin Luther King said not to judge people by the...
Martin Luther King said a lot of stuff.
Is America inherently racist?
What the hell is that?
The word inherent is challenging there. America is racist to its bones. All of the...
So inherently.
Yeah.
The entire system has to burn. And I'm not going to even use save this country. This country is not worth saving. This country is a piece of shit.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
They gonna say I'm racist.
Joining us now is Matt, certified DEI expert.
Here's my certification. Where are you guys in your anti-racist journeys? So I'll look around the room and point to who we believe is the most racist person in the room. We want to rename the George Washington Monument to the George Floyd Monument. Would you mind signing it? You will? What do you think about this issue of heteronormativity and how it intersects with the broader structures of racism in society?
They gonna say I'm racist.
What's up with white people? What are you doing to decenter your whiteness?
Who's making it the center? Why are they doing that?
And what you're doing is you're stretching out of your whiteness. This is more for you in this field. White.
Folks.
White.
Trash. White supremacy. White woman. White boy.
White.
Entitlement.
White.
Centering. White. Silence.
Is there a black person around here?
There's a black person right here. Does he not exist?
They gonna say I'm racist, but they call everybody racist.
Hi, Robin.
Hi. And what's your name?
I'm Matt.
Matt. Hi,
Yeah.
Matt.
Nice to meet you.
I just had to ask who you are because you have to be careful.
Never be too careful.
They gonna say you racist, but they call everybody racist.
I cannot wait to see this. If you guys did not recognize, so this was even funnier. So like, obviously he put the wig on and everything, and he doesn't even look that much different. But this is so much funnier than you might even realize. So he says, watch this once again.
Hi, Robin.
Hi.
This is Robin DiAngelo. And if you do not know who Robin DiAngelo is, she is the author of White Fragility. This is the woman who, like, so much of all of these DEI courses that businesses and schools have to, they usually are, if they don't actually read this book, then their trainings and their courses are in some way based on this woman's work, White Fragility. That does claim all white people are racist, that if you are a straight white Christian man, then you're like the worst of the worst. This is so exciting. Matt claims that the best parts are not included in the trailer, that it only gets better from here. And I can't imagine, because that's how What is a Woman was. What is a Woman was a groundbreaking documentary because of Matt Walsh's ability to go into pretty much any situation and have the most monotone, clear-cut, brass tacks discussion with anybody about anything. And it looks like in this documentary, what he's going to do is he's going to truly get the feelings of both sides of this issue, the issue of race, in which we live in a culture right now where straight white men, like you said, straight white Christian men are the worst. You're the worst. I'm the worst. But if you really look at it, even from the trailer alone, it looks like what a lot of us already know. That the people that obsess about race, that are the ones constantly talking, Republicans are racist, they're Nazis, they're terrible, they're demons, whatever. Those people are the ones that are constantly thinking about it. The rural voters that are usually told that they're the racists, that they're the bad guys, that they're the problem, when posed with questions about race, about their own their belief on heteronormativity and everything, they give answers like this. We'll find one here, like this guy right here.
What do you think about this issue of heteronormativity and how it intersects with the broader structures of racism in society?
They gonna say I'm
Huh? He doesn't get it. And then there was the other guy who was asked regarding his feelings he was asked, let's see if I can find it. This guy right here is asked about decentering his whiteness.
To decenter your whiteness.
Who's making it the center? Why are they doing that?
Who's making it the center? Who cares? I'm so excited to see this. I think just like What is a Woman absolutely exposed the entire, honestly, the medical scam, the medical and mental scam that is the transgender theory. I'm excited for this to totally blow the roof off of the mind control that is diversity, equity, and inclusion which in and of itself is more racist than America ever has been. So I'm very excited to see this. I think it's going to be a great film. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Are you a racist? Am I a racist? Let me know. Let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, share, all that fun stuff. Now, let's get into the moment you guys have all been waiting for. I'm sure you guys have been excited for Dear Kev. And of course, I use the New York Post articles because I have not gotten any emails from anybody. You guys can let me know. speechlesskp@gmail.com. If you want advice, if you want unsolicited, unprofessional advice, let me know in the comments or email me, speechlesskp@gmail.com. And I will give you my advice about whatever instance might be going on in your life. I'll be honest. It will be unprofessional. It will be non-binding, legally non-binding. By no means am I any type of a professional in this at all. I am unprofessional. I am doing this simply for entertainment purposes and for the interest of, because I think it's fun. So we could pull up here. This is originally Dear Abby articles. Also that I was asked, when is this coming out? That was September 13th was when that movie comes out in theaters. And then it'll probably come to Daily Wire Plus afterwards. But the unprofessional New York Post, Dear Abby, which is really Dear Kev when I do it. I don't want this ad here. I don't care about Walgreens sunscreen. But if you notice, I get ads for sunscreen because I'm very pale. Oh, it didn't even come up on the screen yet, so you guys didn't even see it. Wonderful. So I was just making fun of myself for no reason. Beautiful. Okay, Dear Kev, I'm a 50-year-old man, married for 17 years with 2 kids. I have a mostly good marriage, but I have been noticing things that bother me. Almost daily, my wife seems to insult me or make a sarcastic comment. Sounds like marriage. I work long hours because of the nature of my job, which my wife claims I am a slave to. Whenever I get a raise, my wife says, "Is that all?" She never seems happy with what I make. We're in debt, but she works part-time at what she calls a princess job that pays well per hour. But she works only 3 days a week. Sometimes, however, she doesn't work for months. My wife seems uninterested in anything I try to tell her that isn't about her. While she cooks, I handle most of the other chores. I have grown less content with my situation recently, although I admit I'm not without my faults. This has me wondering if there's something wrong with me. I wonder if I can make my wife happy. Would I be able to make anyone happy? A friend told me he thinks I have been mentally abused for years. Could it be true? There are times when things feel fine. This is embarrassing to ask, but have I been abused? Has it been going on for a long while and I'm just noticing it now? What I am noticing just now is that I'm frozen. So stay tuned for my advice. Is this man being abused? Give me like 30 seconds and you will know. Is this man being abused? We'll get back to it here. Now I get Cinnamon Toast Crunch ads. Beautiful. I like Cinnamon Toast Crunch. But is this man being abused? Well, let's go through this a little bit. So, 50-year-old man, 17 years, 2 kids, mostly good marriage. Works long hours because of the nature of my job, which my wife claims I am a slave to. This is a very important part, which my wife claims I am a slave to. This is your wife telling you, and again, unprofessional opinion, by no means am I a marriage counselor. I'm not even married. So the grain of salt you should take my advice with should be small. My wife claims I'm a slave to. The way I see this, if your wife claims you're a slave to this is your wife making a sly comment saying she wants to spend more time with you and you do too much work. Whenever you get a raise, your wife says, "Is that all?" She never seems happy with what I make. This isn't your wife saying that she's not happy with with how much you make. And again, I'm not there. I'm not seeing this, but the way that I see it is this is your wife saying, not is that all, in that she's not happy with what you make. If she's also saying that you're a slave to your job, what she's saying by is that all is you do so much work, you deserve more. That's the way I'd see it. Is that if she claims you're a slave to the job and asks, is that all? What she's saying is you work too much and are underpaid. You work more than you deserve. She actually, what I'm hearing is that she sees more value in you than you see in yourself. We're in debt, but she works part-time at what she calls a princess job that pays well per hour. But she only works 3 days a week. Sometimes, however, she doesn't work for months. My wife seems uninterested in anything I try to tell her that isn't about her. While she cooks, I handle most of the other chores. I've grown less content with my situation recently, although I admit it sounds like you have not tried to talk to her about this princess job. It sounds like that you haven't talked to her about issues that you're having with any of this. It sounds like you have a negative connotation towards your wife when she tries to tell you you're working too much and you're getting underpaid. To me, the question of, have I really been abused? It sounds like you go into a conversation with your friend, complain about your wife, which isn't uncommon. You need to vent sometimes. I get it. But you give a very, very one-sided interpretation. Your friend says, she sounds crazy. I think you're getting abused. And you're taking it too seriously, when what it really sounds like is you have communication issues. You're misinterpreting what she's saying. You're not asking what she really means. And you should. And if you're unhappy with your situation, if you're less content with your situation, the only person that can change that is you. And if you truly love your wife, if you truly love your family, if you truly love your kids, and you want to get out of this debt, conversations need to happen. Not a single time in any of this does it say, I try to talk to her about this and she's unresponsive, or we can't talk about it, or anything like that. You can't make your wife happy because you're not trying to make her happy. You're not listening to her. I hear, which you even admit, your wife claims you're a slave to your job. That is her saying she's unhappy with how much you're working, that she wants to spend more time with you. But what do I know? Maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe I'm an idiot. Let me know in the comments. Maybe I'm an idiot. Let's go to the next one. I don't care what Abby said. I'm right. Dear Abby, dear Kev, my daughter is 16. She's been with her boyfriend, who is 18, for a year. She says she loves him, but she doesn't want to go on dates. She also doesn't like to give him hugs, the only type of affection that is shown. I've told her it's okay if she doesn't like him like that, and it's okay to not have a boyfriend at all. She says she doesn't want to talk about it. I'm concerned because this isn't normal. He gets to see her only when she allows him to come to our house. She could go weeks without seeing him and be okay. He is so in love with my daughter that I don't think he will ever end their relationship. I just want her to be happy, but she doesn't seem to be. I try to let her figure things out for herself, but her dad and I are at a loss. How can we help her? Something's off in Ohio. Okay. So, something's off. What really needs to be off is you, off your daughter's ass. Look, I feel bad for this guy because he's 18, she's 16. Technically, that's statutory. I don't know the laws in Ohio. But it also, she doesn't even want to give him hugs. So obviously it's not even happening. What I feel bad for this dude. Your daughter's being kind of a piece of shit to this guy. But at the same time, the guy needs to learn to grow a pair. Must be a late bloomer. Balls haven't dropped yet, because if he's getting treated like this, he needs to stand up for himself. The advice should not be to the parents. The advice to the parents, your issue is minimal. You don't have a wild daughter. You don't have somebody that's sneaking out, going, having unprotected sex, hooking up with a bunch of dudes. Maybe your conversation needs to be talking to her about like what she really wants, but it should not be about this relationship. The issue in this relationship is the daughter being what seems emotionally manipulative, and the guy having no sense of self-confidence. So the way that I see this is you shouldn't have written in. You should know this isn't your place. I want to know the daughter and the boyfriend's perspective, because those are the ones that really probably need more of the advice. She's the problem and the boyfriend has zero balls. In short, exactly. The parent, if you want my advice, my unprofessional, legally non-binding, and unsolicited advice. Do nothing. Worry about things that are more important than a stupid high school relationship. And that's this week's edition of Dear Kev, and I hope you guys liked it. We talked about a lot of things today, going on nearly 2 hours. I told you at the beginning of this stream, if you were here for it, and if you weren't, make sure you go back and watch a little bit. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends, all of that fun stuff. But I told you at the beginning of this stream that you would be hearing about all of the ways in which a straight white Christian man is attacked in society. How it's simple, easy, and accepted socially to hate on little old me. What we saw from the opening ceremony, that Christians were more than mocked. Straights, in a way, considering there was nothing straight about that performance, were mocked. We saw through the Dear Abby article, men mocked by their wives. We saw through Am I a Racist, whites mocked, and even men. All of the evils, the demons, were mocked. We saw all of it. And yet here I am, streaming. We even saw in my comments section, myself, an individual, as a straight white Christian man, mocked by a commenter who said I was triggered and I was playing the victim. By no means am I playing a victim. If I was playing a victim, I wouldn't be here right now. If I was playing the victim, I wouldn't have pointed out how God was visible in the Olympics. If I was playing the victim, I would roll over on my belly right now and say, oh, poor me. Come at me. Give me everything you got. Try me. I'll be gulag inmate number 1. If I was playing the victim, I wouldn't keep up the fight. A victim expects something for it. I don't expect anything. Even if I was the only one who thought the way I did, even if I was the only person who held these beliefs, I'd still be right here. You know how in like apocalypse movies, you have like the trope of like the last man on earth, and he sits with like a CB radio and tries to emit a signal and is like, hello, alive in Tucson, Arizona, alive here, XYZ. There's somebody here. I'm alive. Is anybody out there? Is anybody out there? Consider me, at least when I come on these streams, and I'm not all that important. There's other people out there that are like me in some way. But consider me that last man. That's what I'd be. That's how committed I am to this. I'd be that last man. In a world where I was the last man who believed that, I'd be the man right here with the CB radio, this YouTube channel, saying alive in Virginia, which is where I'm moving to just later this week. Alive in Virginia. And if you guys are alive, awake, not woke, awake to all of this, if you're one of the deeply hated white, straight Christian men, or you're an ally to the white, straight Christian man, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends. I see all of you in the comments. Thank you, Raven, Common Sense, Ryan Mack Show, Demon Goral, Michael Badger. I'm trying to go through. Did I miss anybody? I know that there's others. Hippie, thank you, each and every one of you, for watching, for being a part. I've been seeing your comments. I appreciate it. Appreciate your patronage. Follow me as I move from Illinois to Virginia for law school. I'm very excited. I hope you guys are excited too. The chronicles of my life will be recorded through this channel. So, as always, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends. God bless you. God bless America. And until next time, you've been watching Speechless.